When you think about Sandoz, it's really a leading generics company, number 2 in the world, number 1 in Europe, number 1 in biosimilars, in an attractive market. But at the moment, it's having a little bit of a difficult time because of some of the launches are a little bit delayed versus what we expected in a tough U.S. environment. But I would really want to emphasize it's not the short-term performance that's really driven us to take the decision to start a strategic review, which, by the way, could include keeping Sandoz, also could include separating from Sandoz. It's really that we've gotten to the place now where Sandoz is really a more separated autonomous unit within Novartis, which gives us the freedom now to consider the options that would best suit Sandoz, best suit our shareholders, best suit our Novartis core business. So we're going to look at it, synergies, dyssynergies, who's the best owner of this business, and try to come to a decision over the course of the next year.
Got it. As far as M&A more broadly, boss, the street has been a little bit surprised by the lack of deal making this year. And as an active deal maker in prior years, what's your take on why this cycle appears to be slower?
You know, I think when you look at biotech valuations at the moment, and I think it's a struggle to get the numbers to work, first from just a pure valuation perspective. I do think COVID had an impact in the amount of engagement that's happened. And of course, that scientific engagement, the engagement of teams, is really important to get deals to move. But I think that's getting better. And, you know, I think companies in general have been trying to understand a bit how is the environment going to evolve with respect to COVID, of course, U.S. drug pricing. And I think as those things start to settle out, we'll perhaps see recovery on the overall deal making next year. But I think critical first and foremost is to look at valuations. That's been challenging over the last year plus.
What about the parts of the business that were most impacted negatively by COVID-19? Thinking oncology in particular, how far along are you toward what would be normal, the baseline?
In most therapeutic areas, Sarah, and you and I have discussed this a few times, we're seeing a return to normality, and we saw that really across the board. The one area, as you rightfully point out, is oncology, and specifically breast cancer, and also therapies that involve a hospital stay. We're starting to see recovery. We're starting to see improvements in diagnosis rates, in biopsy rates, in patients who get our radioligand therapy or our Kymriah cell therapy starting to come back into the hospital. But I still think we have probably a little bit more time to go before we'll get to a place where we expect it to be fully back at pre-COVID levels. Probably will be hopefully by the start of next year.
Why is that? You think people are still hesitant to go see their doctors?
It seems to be a few factors. One, I think that patients who need to get diagnosed are a little bit hesitant still to go into the hospital, especially when they don't even realize, you know, these are routine care visits typically where we detect cancers. I think there's also the element that in many hospitals, because you can't have family come into the hospital still, patients are reticent to sign up for an inpatient stay, even if this could, you know, really benefit them in terms of their quality of life or longevity of life. But again, we see this steadily improving month on month, and I think I'm hopeful by the end of this year we'll be back to a more normal place.